Then we adopted Anna, who was the big reason that we're in this group. So Anna has a rare genetic deletion of, she's 1 in about 10. And then also just a lot of other things that go along with that. And she has a few learning disabilities, but is mostly bright. And then we adopted Alden. He is almost 17 now. And he is the healthiest kid ever, it seems, and can throw some majorly healthy meltdowns that are not healthy for the rest of us. So, so he gave me a run for my money today with about a 3-hour meltdown. So number one out of anything, I think, as I'm kind of telling that bio, I think if there's anything that we want to get out from this, it's that I am sure that you're doing the very best that you can. My answers won't be the same as your answers, and I don't have all the answers for sure. If I did, we wouldn't have done the meltdown today. Every time we kind of have a new idea or change something around, you know, it's different for every one of our children. So I'm sure with you as well, we're talking about neurotypical and not neurotypical. Maybe we're talking about verbal and not. Maybe we're talking about intellectual disabilities. Maybe we're talking about anxiety. For all of these different reasons, we have a unique homeschooling situation. So, so after we started homeschooling, there you go, turn that off. There's my reality. After we started homeschooling, we moved out to Davis County and didn't find any groups. So I started Davis County Homeschoolers. As such, I've seen a lot of different philosophies. So right now we're in what we call emergency COVID schooling for many of us. If you've already been homeschooling, it's probably a little bit different for you. But even then, as we homeschooled, we were never just stuck, you know, with our house and some outdoor things. It's still very different for us to, even if we were going to say that we were pure homeschoolers right now. So anyway, so after that, I was an exchange student coordinator for about 8 years. So we've also seen the differences with learning through a different country, and some of the different school systems, what different people feel important versus in different countries. Like a lot of my European kids just couldn't stand all the homework here. And they said, well, we just test, you know, you study, 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 then you take a test at the end to show what you learned. That was very hard for him, that different culture with schooling. Or, you know, vice versa. If our kids went over there, they might think it was really, really hard to just keep studying and actually remember everything. So part of what we're looking at here is even just the culture of school has changed. And so as parents, we get to kind of find that line. Sometimes we feel at the mercy of other educators, thinking that they're going to judge us in our situation, when really they probably have the same situations at home or something near to. We only have one teacher that has just been kind of difficult to work with. And I got to just tell her, hey, sorry, we're doing our own thing. You know, she'll do the math, and the rest of it, I just need to be in charge of, because it just wasn't working. It was causing some pretty major chaos in our lives to try to follow this plan that she had, which maybe it was great for other kids. My daughter, it didn't work for her. And so it's okay to kind of pull that out right now during the emergency schooling and just say, you know, here's this communication. We're going to do our best, and here is how we're going to do our best. Okay. So here's my notes. So after that, I did substitute teaching. So I've been in a lot of functional skills units and SPED units, ASC, which it's kind of nicknamed the autism unit for us, but it's academic social communication. I've subbed there, and I have kids in the different classes. And then I got a job specifically as a sped aid at a charter. So I feel like I have a lot of background in all of those areas. The rest of my family are teachers too. Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, everybody's either taught or worked at the schools or subbed at the schools. I think one of those important things, and again, one of the biggest things to know, is we might all have our opinions, but just try not to feel judged by the regular ed teachers, because I've seen since I've started to work at the district, the stress that is on your paras and your teachers and your sped directors as well, as they're trying so hard too. And they don't know unless they have their own kids. When you have rare disease and when you have disabilities, you might think that you know what we're going through, but you don't. I would imagine that you are all with me on that. And so it really is a road of communication where they're trying their best to help you, but they don't necessarily know how. And so that's where some of the homeschooling concepts come in, instead of only doing COVID school, which is kind of what I will call, I'll call COVID school when you log on to Google Classrooms or you get your email and your teacher or somebody is saying, this is the curriculum that we want you to do, and then you turn it in. That's what I'm going to call COVID school for now. There's so many different versions of homeschooling now. It is not at all like it used to be when we started so long ago. So even online school, which we've had a lot of experiences with online, is very different from COVID school. These are very untrained teachers in general for online. They might be great when your kid is sealing their smiling face. And this is a completely different thing. So they might be great at school, not so great with trying to figure this out. They might be great all around. They might really be the best teachers ever, and you have a child with disabilities who just isn't able to handle this great teacher while there's a change, right? So comment from Taylor, for me, when growing up, I went to public school and I had a lot of problems in public school. I have been sent to the principal's office and my parents never did homeschooling at all with me, because in school I had maybe teacher and an aide to help myself since I was 6 years old and in my classroom. Is that right, Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. So, our first 2 weeks of this COVID school, I was just in heaven. I was like, hey, this is great. My kids are doing wonderfully. Oh, I missed homeschooling so much. Maybe we should go back to homeschooling all the time because they're doing such a great job. It has slowly just tanked since then. One of the reasons that it wasn't hard before is because my guy with severe PTSD he didn't have that email communication yet. There weren't expectations, and he wasn't online all the time. And he gets so stressed out when he realizes there's an assignment because he's not intellectually capable to do that assignment. So, and things weren't really shut down so much. It was just like school was done, but we weren't really feeling that crisis of being stuck at home yet. Once he started seeing the assignments due that he couldn't do, like he's first grade math in general, and the assignments that were given to him were all 9th, 10th, 11th grade math. Just because of how it worked, and the teacher couldn't figure out how to change some of the game systems. It was horrible. that was not horrible. So that was another point where I went, okay, you know, we just need to tell the teacher that we're not doing their thing. Appreciate all the help. We're going to do our own thing. So let me show you. This is something that we do. So you see my background. That's our school. So I have it set for my background for the familiarity. So if your kids ever Zoom with, and we're talking really any of your kids, right? Typical, not typical, whoever. If they ever Zoom with their teachers, you might consider asking them to do a background of a familiar place to kind of help them identify that. Because as much as we would think that, you know, this is my face, you know it, it's familiar, the tone of my voice changes when I'm online, and the quality, especially with this here. I'm zooming in and out and I get to be invisible on my background. I'm very flat. If you're talking kids with a lot of sensory issues, that in itself is just really weird for them. So they can put that on. And then we travel. So here we've traveled to Africa. We've traveled to Kenya, Antarctica. This one's for my meetings. I'm okay. This is the background that my daughter always chooses, who right now is behind me trying to participate in the meeting because I told her that. But she likes this kind of thing. So you can always ask your teachers if they might want to do a familiar background. This is her horse for horse therapy. And then sometimes we'll travel fun places like London. And so then I would ask my kids, where do we want to travel? Where should we be? And we'd set this as our Zoom background. And then I'm going to show everybody. Oh no, maybe I can't. I think I might have just lost it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show everybody my reality for a minute. So there's my reality. And I think that's really important for us to see in a webinar. Because so often we see the fun parts, right? And we only see everybody's best. So when I'm teaching, I have my best. I don't necessarily have, you know, here's all my sewing stuff that's been pulled out. Here's my daughter. Go ahead and wave, Anna. Yay. Hi. Here's my dishes. So my dog's running around. And I hear a kid back there. Okay, hold on one second and I'm gonna tell him, because we're talking reality, right? Alden? Remember I told you I'm doing my meeting?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
I was hearing talking.
Yes, you were hearing talking. So,
I was talking to
okay. So we're gonna have a voices off time where you're just in there with Adam, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, bud.
You were talking to me.
Okay, I didn't switch off because I wanted you to hear my reality. That's it. So don't be worried about it. We feel really blessed. We moved here and we have a nice big area now. We didn't always have that. So I do love that a lot. But I'm so jealous of so many other people's houses right now. And I just have to make myself not be. Okay, so like I ask my kids, where should we travel? Somebody comment in the comment box and I'll set my background. We have Africa, we have London, or you can just unmute yourself to tell me where you want to go. I have Africa, London, school, horse therapy, the fire, Antarctica, Australia. Italy. I don't have Italy, but is London okay since it's nearest to Italy? Is that good? Okay, there you go. We'll do the horse cards in Italy. So now I'm going to get away from those. And okay, the state letter. So that's something that I wanted to discuss. I posted it a little bit ago. And instead of reading the whole thing, I just want to let you guys know that from my standpoint, and I'm just an aide, but they asked all of the aides to also go to the teacher meetings, to the weekly teacher meetings. So normally I probably wouldn't get all of this firsthand. But the state shared a letter with all of the principals to share with all of their teachers. And basically it reiterated that students' mental health right now is number one. They've asked everybody to please don't worry about the grades. So I'm talking again for all of your children, for all of your students, where you're going to have stress levels really on every end. So for all of your students, know that at least in Utah, they've asked us to be very generous with grading, to cut the work time so that it's not so much work time. They've asked us to put students' mental health first. So if you're feeling like you have a teacher or teachers who are still really pressuring any of your kids, please know that you can go to them or you can go to whoever is above them to just ask. Just let them know that you're not really able to do stuff right now. Hey, Alden. Alden, do you want to go outside with Adam or in your room?
I would like to clean my room by myself. I would like to go outside.
Okay, how about while I'm doing the webinar, you guys go outside and then you can do that after, okay? Can we do that? Okay, thanks, bud. It's not gonna work out, guys. So just telling you right now that I'm glad for my little background and my microphone so you can't hear all that's going on back there. So anyway, if you have a teacher who's really stressing you out, you go ahead and go to admin or whoever you need to go to ask for some help with that. A lot of the teachers have put aids on. So for instance, I am helping with some of the different classes to help some of the kids in SPED navigate those classes. And you know, that might look like some of the parents wanted help with the executive functioning part of COVID schooling. And some of them wanted really more of that one-on-one question answer where I'm helping them understand the answers. For what I have been doing, looking at my notes again. Okay, so for my own kids, let's kind of go into the homeschooling part of that, unless, does anybody have any more questions specifically about the COVID schooling part of it, or dealing with the teachers that you have right now? I'll just give it a second and you can chat or you can unmute yourself to ask. Okay, so if you do, go ahead and put that in there. So I'll move on to some of the things that I've done for my kids after I told the schools that what they were doing wasn't really working for my kids. And I'm trying to also think, for instance, my son's speech therapy stopped. And that was one of the things that I thought that they should be able to do pretty easily online, and she just stopped it. She's not doing it. So we're not getting any services for that. So taking my own advice, I really would need to step that up since I've talked to the teacher and the therapist already. And I would need to call the district to ask what services are there actually available right now. Thank you. Jasmine shared some good resources for special ed law in the chats. So maybe Sylvia could put that out to share that as well. That would be really good. So because, you know, I am in that middle where I understand our limitations right now of what the schools can do and what they can't. But I also know as a parent that we've had some major disruption, and it's completely okay to go one step up the ladder to ask for the help that we need. They may or may not be able to provide it, but it's okay if we're going up to ask, right? Okay, so I'll screen share in a minute, I think, some of these fun things that we've done. One thing that's worth discussing, I think, is the different ways of scheduling. So like I said, with getting my mind in the right thought here, because I have everything kind of shooting at me right now in my brain. With all the different philosophies that we've either learned about or followed through homeschooling, they really run the gamut as far as scheduling goes. So you have, you know, far ends of one idea that is really unschooling and very child-led. So your child is going to do what they want and kind of lead the way, and then you support them in that. You have the other end of the spectrum, which is extremely scheduled, and people might call it school at home, or very online, already structured schooling. And so there's benefits to all of those. So if you feel like that very unstructured, child-led philosophy is working for your child, please do it, or please try it. And then don't be afraid to switch that up if you need to switch it up. So I have one child that worked very well for. She's a very accomplished person going through what she really wanted to go through. I have a lot of them also who do really well on the other end of that spectrum, and who do a great job with scheduling and timers. I would say that most of them do better with scheduling and timers, but also I do better with scheduling and timers now that I'm old. So when I was young and I had only my perfect child that I just knew was so perfect and there's nothing ever wrong in our lives, and then, you know, life showed me that wasn't reality. We could do that because I could also fly by the seat of my pants, and I could pick up and go and, you know, oh, I'm interested today in the water cycle. Oh, great. You know, let's go here or there. Let's do that. Our COVID schooling, even though I'm in charge of a lot of it, is different because we can't necessarily just pick up and go where we want. But then also our guy with PTSD and autism and intellectual disabilities, we found works very, very well with predictability and a schedule and timers for everything. And so because of him, we actually implemented that with the rest of our family right now. And surprisingly, we are all loving that so much better than the other things that I used to do, or even a middle. And the other benefit to that for us is that it gets us up at a set time. And even if we do have meltdown days like we did today, you know, we lost 3 hours to a massive meltdown. He could still pick up where he left off in general. And he doesn't understand time, but we got, is it there? I don't know where it is. I was going to show you the timer. But so I got these, I think they were $5 that are digital. And so my other kids like that. They can use online timers, but we found that those were really distracting because then they'd get on multiple tabs. But his is just a visual timer, and it wasn't the cheapest thing ever. I think it was $20 on Amazon, but it shows the space of time that you need. And so this much space is more than this much space. So it kind of prepares him that it's going to end soon. And then I email his school address. We started out doing it every day, where I would email it every day. And now we just email it once a week, just on Mondays. And so I do that with my 3 youngest. So they get an email with all of the links that they're gonna do. And the kids who understand time, I can put a time on there. And then for Alden, we just have it to, you know, set the timer to 20 minutes, set the timer for 40 minutes. Because he reads well. Carrie, yes, I will also send a link for the timer. And Sylvia, if you wouldn't mind making a note, maybe for me to do that, that would be good, so I don't forget it. And you can also find visual timers for free on iPads that do the same thing. If you Google visual timer or iPhones or whatever, I'm sure they have them everywhere. For me, it was worth it to me to buy the specific timer so that it wasn't connected to something that he is going to want to play with. It's just a timer, that's its only function. It's just the timer. So we email the timed things in the links, and he has been so good at, you know, ding, the timer goes, okay, he goes back to the email, clicks the link, he does the next thing. That was a real surprise to me. So definitely don't be afraid to just kind of mix it up and try new things. It's just fine. For us, the other thing that we found that was very surprising was that most of my kids are doing really well with just online. I was really big into Montessori and Charlotte Mason and all of these very tactile things when I was really doing the child-led learning. And they're fun, I still love them, but right now we're using them for rewards afterward. So it's a fun reward to get into the Legos or the kinetic sand or my Unifix cubes and all that. And I'm not sure if it's partly because it's just not as distracting. And you know, maybe it's not gonna be for life. I don't know, maybe in 2 months we will change it because it'll work differently. But that's part of this webinar, right? Don't be afraid to change it up. Hold on, I have to tell Echo to stop. Echo, cancel. Okay, moving on to gadget number 2, that is the love of my life, are Echo Dots. Echo Dots and Alexas, they are amazing things. I'll tell you why. Because I can take my phone here and I can go on to Alexa. I don't know how well you'll be able to see. Oh, it won't work with my background. Okay, anyway, so I go on to Alexa and there's this thing called routines. You can put anything you want on there. So Alden has a routine for keeping his bathroom decent. He has a routine for washing his hands. A routine for going to sleep, a routine for taking his pills, everything. So you can set it by timer or when you say something. So for instance, his schedule is on there, so it will go off in the morning in his room, on his Echo Dot in his room, and it'll say, Alden, it's time to wake up. I'll play you a song while you wake up. Go ahead and go to the bathroom now, and then you can ask me to wash your hands. Is this happy voice? It's not the same voice as mom. That's not always happy. I'm getting a tickle in my throat. So it's always a happy voice. It's always a different voice. He doesn't argue with it because it won't argue back, and it's not mom. It just says what it says. You know, so then he'll get up and get all ready. And then so again, it can either go by schedule, like a timer, or you can say something to it. So So if he says, Echo, wash my hands, then it comes up with this 2-minute little song about washing hands that it'll play while he's washing his hands. So we have one in all the kids' rooms and in the kitchen and in the TV room. So the other kind of fun thing about that is if I ever need to kind of pull out the big guns, if he's not listening to me, sometimes it will work that I can just enter it into Alexa and have Alexa say something instead of me. So gadget number 2. Okay. And so another question about ADHD. While I am, sorry, hold on. While I'm doing these other things, when I'm showing you these other things, I'll tell you a little bit about my hair disappeared that way. I can't do that. I'm gonna have to take a big sip, guys. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit more about ADHD. I am a massive ADHD friend right here. This is ADHD person. And 4 of my children, probably really all of my children, because my birth kids and my adopted kids have some pretty good ADHD. Okay, timers, Echo Dot and Alexa routines. Summertime routines. I am absolutely planning to continue a summertime routine. Summertimes have always been really hard for us, and I'm realizing with our routines where we're doing COVID school, which is different from when I've ever homeschooled, that routines are really benefiting us. So my plan is to still let everybody sleep longer and everything, but then to use the Echo Dots to kind of set those summers in motion and still have them have maybe 2 hours of online type schooling or copy work. So let me go down to just really some of the different things that we do that I like or that are beneficial. I'm going to screen share if it will work and go through a couple of them, and then I'll list some. And they're different ages and different abilities on here. So, okay, thanks. You keep staying out there though, okay?
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Okay, thanks, bud.
Mom, where would you like this? I have one already.
Okay.
You know what?
Bud, I need to do my meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, can you guys see Brooks Gibbs, school psychologist, right now on your screens? Give me a thumbs up or a something, or somebody unmute.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is under brooksgibbs.com, and it's free during the shutdowns. The reason why I'm showing you this first is because it is my very favorite thing on the planet, I think. So I can always give a list to Sylvia, maybe 2 to post if you don't get this written down or if you're doing other things. He's doing it for free. Usually it's school psychology for bullying, but the free thing that he's doing is a series for home and homeschooling. And he's also live a lot on Facebook. And so he's going through real situations and doing like maybe 3 or 4 minute clips with a few questions at the end. And he really breaks it down well. I would say kids really anywhere from kindergarten on through high school, college would benefit from this. It can be for the whole family. And he breaks it down really well into what people are wanting when they're trying to cause problems in general. Like, are they just trying to bother you? Do they think it's funny? Are they trying to hurt you? And he also breaks it down into, you know, what's bullying and what's actually, he doesn't say the word abuse. What does he say? I don't remember what he says, but anyway, I like that he makes it clear of, you know, here's some bullying that we're going to try to get around and not worry about, and, or make a funny thing or whatever. And here's where you really need to talk to an adult. So that's been great. I think there's like 10 videos on there, plus an assembly, a homeschool assembly. So this next one, a lot of people probably already know about, and it's khanacademy.org. This is mine. The reason why I logged into my own was because I wanted you guys to see, because again, I'm pretty big with here's the reality of things, especially in our little group here. We have kind of a different reality than a lot of people. So you might have noticed that I have 92% mastered addition and subtraction. And I'm going to resume my multiplication and division because there's a reason that I am not going back to college for my math. But I wanted to do this for myself because I really need help trying to teach my other kids. I always farmed out math. When any place that I homeschooled, I farmed out math. And this was why. So Khan Academy, maybe you would start that around a 3rd grade level and all the way up to adults. So here's these courses. And you can also get very specifics on there. So say for instance, oh look, actually, they have added preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade since I have looked at all of this lately. So let's say that you are in 4th grade math and you just do not understand how to tell your child how to add and subtract fractions. So you can get on here. I haven't looked at the videos because I was just going through the quizzes to see where I was. But then anything that has a play.
So let's think about all of the different ways. Ooh, doesn't
He'll
quite
explain
get us to
that.
7/9 yet. 2/9 plus 3/9 is going to get us to 5/9.
And then you could go to the lesson page where if you still didn't understand it, you can get a lot of other information about that. Okay, so that's Khan, another one of my favorites. Go Noodle. This is for anybody pre-learning, you know, very, very beginning, up until you just don't mind being silly. So like adults, it's pretty fun. If your kids have been in school, they've probably done Go Noodles, but I don't know that a lot of parents know that you can do them. So you can go to categories if you want to actually do some academic learning too, but then there's also just a lot of fun things, sensory and motor skills. So for a lot of us who aren't getting OT right now, that's kind of fun to do the motor skills. Mindfulness, if we're not really getting therapy right now, managing stress, ADHD type issues like Taylor was asking about. And so here's math. I will just give you a little example. Where's a fun one? We like to just put these on whenever, and sometimes you can also find them just on YouTube. Okay, here's one that's my daughter's that's fun. This is not an educational one necessarily, it's just kind of a fun one.
My back's aching, the sun's too bright, my hips keep hopping from left to the right, from the left to the right, from the left to the right, from the left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right,
Okay. So that pumps us up. So we'll put that on sometimes in the morning. Maybe we'll put one on if we just need to breathe.
Through your nose, pause.
Here's just a
And
good
count.
relaxation one.
1, 2, 3. And exhale again before counting. 1, 2, 3. Try it.
Yeah, so that's just kind of fun one. It's also a safe way if you have kids who like TikTok, but you want to control that a little better for younger kids. There's just some dances that they have too that are a little bit like that. Where's my, I can do that. Oh, see, I have mostly my, English stuff on there. Anyway, it's fun. It's Go Noodle. You can get it on apps. You can get it online. You can get it if you just put it on YouTube, Go Noodle. Okay. Cosmic Kids Yoga. So here's my YouTube. We do so much YouTube. You can see over here. This is part of the things that I'll send links. You know how I said that I would send links in the on Monday for the kids. So I might say set a timer and watch from this or that playlist, but usually I'll send actual links. So see, I have Bendy Brain playlist, kids anxiety behavior. Sometimes I'll just put good shows that you can't get anymore, like The Land of Far Beyond. Here's my read aloud books, my religious stuff, Alden Nighttime. Anyway, things like that. So one of my favorites on YouTube is Cosmic Kids Yoga. And let's find a fun one. And you can get this again on an app. It's all free, or YouTube. So sometimes they'll have themes. Here we go. I'll show you a themed one. So while my son doesn't want to do yoga, if I just say it's time to do yoga or relax or something, he thinks it's pretty great to do Harry Potter.
It's easy. All you do is copy the moves I do and enjoy the adventure. Now, we always start in the same way, and that's by sitting on our bottoms, crossing our legs, and bringing our hands together at our hearts.
We go into some of the actual.
To show him the way, and they tell him he has to.
So you'll see it's definitely not actual yoga moves.
After 3, let's do a big jump through the magic wall. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoosh! Wow, Harry made it. On the other side is the Hogwarts Express, the train. Jump your feet together. Let's go. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Here we go around the train. Bubble, bubble, bubble potion.
Okay, so you can see it's not yoga for sure, but it's yoga that my kids will participate in, which is a big deal, right? Here's a playlist that I've made with some read aloud books that we wanted to do. This one I also sent out to my kids in my language arts class, and it's all about worry. So a little list with Wilma Jean the Worry Machine, Ruby Finds a Worry, Me and My Fear, Help Your Dragon Deal with His Anxiety. They've changed something, so you know now with YouTube, since they've done a little bit of work with what's kid appropriate and not, I'm finding that we actually can't make playlists for a lot of things that are tagged for kids. And so to get around with that, that's where I've been just emailing him the links, or emailing both of the kids a link, so that I'll have an email that I can pull up instead that says YouTube books about anxiety, and then that list to click if they won't go onto a playlist. And I don't know if they'll keep doing that, but you know, it might fix. I don't know. There's my Bendy Brain list, playlist, where we can talk about ways to keep flexible brain. And it won't let me get rid of that. Okay, here's Starfall. This is another one that's just for younger kids or really early learning. It's a subscription based, but then there are several things that are free. So for instance, anything that's in color here is free. The reason that I like Starfall, and it's not much even if you subscribe to it, I think it was $25 for the whole year.
Help them get home.
I like this one because it's very intuitive for kids who need that. So because I'm not clicking at it yet, so it's going to point at me to say where to click. This is one where if your child has a hard time reading or with basic math concepts, this is amazing. It's just really laid out well. See, and again, I didn't do it, so it's giving me instructions. So I'm going to put that down there. And I'm still not going to do it, so it will give me more instructions eventually, or I can just do it. Anyway, I like Starfall. It has math, it has reading, it has some fun stuff. It has this talking library where it can read to you. And okay, so I'm back on here. I think most of the other things I'll probably just send out. Maybe I'll send out a sheet with links. Since I don't know that you need to see all of them, but I have a lot of things that are free for right now that aren't normally free. Hold on, there we go. My window is making me funny. So I'll just send out the links for the rest of them, but I have a lot that's on YouTube. So one of my concerns is always just, can they do it themselves, or how much help do they need from me, since I'm teaching during the day too. And so most of the things on here, they can do it themselves if they can function academically, maybe like at a first grade type level, maybe kindergarten level. And then anything else you can just do it with them. So I think those are the basics. Does anybody have questions, or do you want to unmute to discuss, or liked a certain thing or didn't like a certain thing? Want to beat me over my head for any opinions? Okay, everybody's still muted. So I'm assuming that you don't have questions.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Since you do work in the school system and we don't know what's going to happen with the new school year, how flexible do you think they will be with our kids for doing maybe some alternative things, like mostly teaching at home and then using some services from the school? What are you feeling is going to happen in the upcoming months?
So my husband is also watch commander for Salt Lake City. So a lot of our information, I think, comes from that basis, from kind of hearing some scuttlebutt around there because they get information from the city. With that combined with what the schools are saying, I am personally planning that we're going to still have time at home. I don't know if it'll be easier for us, really. Like, most of my kids could handle that just fine, kind of doing it. You know, they've talked about less kids at a time in school sometimes at our school, or like A-Day, B-Days with half the kids there, A-Days, half the kids B-Days. I can't wrap my head around how it will work, really. And most of my kids could handle that, but my one that has just such a hard time intellectually, where he was in functional skills since we've had him for 6 years. We adopted him 6 years ago. And now he's in the ASC class, which is really above his head, but he's liking it. I think it would be so hard for me and my family to have it switched up like that. I don't know how it would work. That's actually one of my panic moments, is when I think about next year and how that will work with all of the unpredictability. If I had a choice, I would start to get pretty, I don't know what a good word is, pretty vocal, pretty adamant that we start to get his services even if we have him at home. I would start to get really vocal about that, and either live services or online services. I think as a community, we've tended to be pretty nice about it all. And needed, you know, really needed, because it is an emergency. But as it goes on longer, maybe we could encourage different ways of really getting those services done. And some of them you wouldn't be able to really, but some should lend themselves really well, I would think, to online. You know, like how I was saying about speech. It's a small speech group. They do social communication as well as physical speech. And I think that we could do that online. So the school where I am, I'm doing a lot with SPED, where we're on constantly with our kids to try to help them navigate this. So I would expect that our schools would do that too. Do you have, what different services does everybody get that maybe we could think of different ways that that it might be able to be online? Carrie, what services are you already getting?
We get speech, but it's 10 minutes a week, which is not what our IEP says, but that's when she meets with her. It's been working well. And then our teacher meets with her for half an hour every day. And then she gets seminary.
Mm-hmm.
But no OT, and APE just comes and checks in on her.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know. We haven't gotten OT for a while. I don't have any idea how they would do that. In my home, I took off where I can change my background. Just on a personal level and on a homeschooling level, I would change this if I could, but so we have hooks all through our ceiling, eye hooks. So we have a giant hammock, and we have a swing, and we have a bar, and we have a ball pit, and all sorts of things that we can use indoors. So that's not feasible for everybody, for sure. That was our gigantic blessing when we moved here, that happened to work out. But as far as homeschooling, either at home normally or COVID schooling, or like looking forward to next year in anticipation, I say the more mobile you can get any of these kids, the better. And that goes for physical stuff, for ADHD, for any of that. I don't know if I can show you this either. Let me see if this will work. Because I already told you I have massive ADD, right? This is my kneeling stool. So you don't actually sit on it, you kneel on it. So that's what I'm on right now, is my kneeling stool, because I can't stand to just sit on a chair. That's really important. Trying to handle all the different sensory things that come up. Do any of you others have an idea or anything you do maybe to handle OT type stuff at home, or sensory things, or anything you do? We have our outdoor stuff too. It's just that then I know we go nuts when it's too cold to, we don't live in London, so we like to stay inside when it's cold. Whenever we would go down there and we'd complain about the cold, and they'd say, there's no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. It's like, yeah, but we still don't want to go outside. Yeah, so that would be a really important one that I don't know how they would really do OT from home. My son's been doing Zoom and Skype and stuff with, there's one other girl in his ASC class who is more of his intellectual style, which, you know, isn't high. And they get on Zoom and they'll do that if I'll give him an hour, and she'll basically just keep repeating movie lines, and then he says, haha, and they just keep doing that. It's pretty fun. So that's their socialization. But how about let's talk about that. An important thing with homeschooling, no matter how you're doing it, is being able to socialize for a parent and for the students. So when we were homeschooling live all those years, that's why I created groups, because there weren't really enough groups, and I know that I'm a very social person. Through this time, even though it's harder, I'm glad that I have my school so that I can be talking to parents and talking to my school kids. And then we're just making sure to really set up times. My daughter's class, the whole class does Zoom twice a week, but she needs much more than that. So we've been making sure to get email addresses for them so that they can Zoom. But any other suggestions or questions for how to socialize? How do we do this when we're all at home besides Zoom? And we don't really have family that, I think a lot of people have family that they can kind of count on, that can still kind of come and visit. And most of our family is either passed away or living in different states. And my mom and dad are just kind of terrified to be by us. And they don't really like us anyway. So they get a little stressed since we adopted. Kind of on our own. So maybe my out is doing a webinar and leading groups. Let's see, what other services are there typically that you couldn't do? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think, so our other kind of unique situation is that we were not aware until our aide just said something that she hasn't even heard from our teacher for Alden's class for like 3 weeks. So that would make sense why he wasn't responding. And then we just got a letter in the mail from the district that says we have a new teacher for next year. So they kind of just dropped us, the whole thing. We just don't even have a teacher to even ask about that. But we will, I guess. Yeah. That's all I have, except for millions and bazillions of links for free things and online things. So I'll sit here. You can be done if you want, or you can unmute, or we can just chat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. I'll sit here awkwardly. I'll do a dance for you. I can do a Kahoot or a Go Noodle. Woo! I'll put on a Go Noodle to usher us out. And I'll screen share it. Hi, Camille, I see you now.
can't. I just can't. My back's aching, the sun's too bright. My hips keep popping from the left to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right,
To the left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
left, right.
I just can't. My back's aching, the sun's too bright. My hips keep popping from the left to the right, to the left,
To the right,
to
to the left,
to the right,
to the left, right, left, right,
left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
No, it's not dog.
Why not? I just can't. Why not? My back is aching, the sun's too bright. My hips are popping from left to right, from left to the right, from left to right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Why not? Why not? My back's aching, the sun's too bright. My hips are popping from left to right. De izquierda a derecha, de izquierda a derecha, from left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
Are you pumped up? Cause I